Yes, we are proceeding immediately into this international conference on the root cause of poverty and insecurity. These discussions today is going to have a global dimension because all over the world, we are being followed and watched by some 6,332 people worldwide. And our first guest speaker this morning is no other person than an erudite scholar, an elder statesman, and the son of the first Prime Minister of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. I invite to speak to us on this important topic, Dr. Abdul Jalil Tafawa Balewa. You're welcome, sir.
Thank you so much. Good morning, world. The word poverty comes from the Old Norman or French word pauvreté, modern French pauvreté, or from the Latin paupetas, meaning poor. There are several definitions of poverty depending on the context of the situation it is placed in, and usually references a state or condition in which a person or community lacks the financial resources and essentials for a certain standard of living. Nigeria, like other countries, has no one cause or determinant of poverty. On the contrary, combination of several complex factors contributes to poverty. They include, but are not limited to, low or negative economic growth, inappropriate macroeconomic policies, deficiencies in the labor market resulting in limited job growth, low productivity and low wages in the informal sector, and a lag in human resource development. Nigeria is the sixth largest producer of natural gas and crude oil in the world. However, a minimum of 133 million Nigerians live in relative poverty. The World Bank has classified Nigeria as a paradox: rich country, poor people. The poverty rate has been redoubled in Nigeria since the installation of democratic governance. Data from the Federal Office of Statistics in 2006 revealed that 15% of the population was poor in 1960. The figure jumped to 28% in 1980. The incidence of poverty in Nigeria significantly increased to 66% in 1996. The argument by some scholars that democracy does not translate into significant development has been proven in Nigeria. Nigeria is also the third largest country in the world that has the highest number of extremely poor people. Empirical evidence from the findings of the United States National Security Advisor, Susan Rice, revealed countries with a higher level of poverty are prone to conflict. For example, in Africa, Southern Sudan, DR Congo, Central African Republic, and Nigeria, with a high level of poverty, are facing unprecedented security challenges. The ethno-religious crisis in Jos, the aftermath violence of the 2011 general elections in Nigeria, the 2012 fuel subsidy removal protest was occasioned by the poverty situation in Nigeria. To be able to define insecurity, it is pertinent to have a brief safe, because only the state has the wherewithal to protect the agricultural sector from becoming a target for militants in need of supplies. Data shows that cash, food, and equipment were more likely to get stolen. Lastly, danger has made other things like transportation more risky and therefore more expensive, again putting pressure on the economic output. The impact of Boko Haram on the Nigerian economy is localized for now, but the instability has had an effect on the agricultural products from the north and had severely reduced cross-border trade with Cameroon, Chad, and Niger. However, the impact is still most felt in our northern states, which have always been so far from Nigeria's positive development story. Moreover, vulnerability to insecurity is a complex issue, as it is determined by the economic structure, the stage of development, prevailing social and economic condition, coping mechanism, risk assessment, frequency and intensity of disaster, etc. The impact of all this on the poor could be losing access to some basic services, reversals in accumulation of physical and human capital, and perhaps an increase in child labor and criminal activities. Scholars, however, are divided on the relationship between poverty and insecurity. While one group believes that poverty is both a cause and consequence of insecurity, another group believes poverty causes insecurity, while yet a third group thinks that poverty is the result of conflicts. Patterns and dimensions of insecurity in Nigeria. Nigeria is currently bedeviled by a plethora of civil unrest and insecurities, including, but not limited to, the following: armed robbery, kidnapping and ritual killings, violent agitations for resource control, especially in the Niger Delta, terrorist attacks epitomized by Boko Haram in the Northeast. I want to lay a little bit more emphasis on this because it is one of the sources of angst in Nigeria at the moment.
Can we hear him?
The activities of Boko Haram within the Nigerian state have placed the country on the international limelight. The United Nations building and the Nigerian Police Authority headquarters have been bombed by the sect. The bombing of the Nyanya motor park that claimed the lives of 73 Nigerians on 14th April and the follow-up abduction of over 300 female students from Chibok have brought international support from the United States, France, Israel, Britain, and China in ending the menace of Boko Haram. It has not happened yet. Some security experts are of the view that the Boko Haram atrocities are not the manifestation of the increasing poverty in the region, but an Islamic terror group having the agenda of Islamizing Nigeria. On the contrary, few scholars have argued that Boko Haram is an urban uprising of discontented youth fighting against economic injustices. Whatever the argument for or against Boko Haram, there are some salient facts which cannot be dismissed always easily. The most important of this is that we have to admit that even if the group has its antecedents in theology, its swelling rank is as a result of a huge reservoir of unemployed urban youths from many parts of the country. These youths who have completely become disenfranchised do readily provide the group with its foot soldiers who commit all manners of atrocities, including assassinations and suicide bombings in the name of religion. Ethnic and religious tensions. Ethno-religious strife, ethno-religious conflicts have surfaced due to the new political environment that paved way for political consciousness and identities that are tied to ethno-religious identity. States that have witnessed a surge in ethno-religious conflict since the enthronement of democracy in 1999 are Abia, Bauchi, Ebonyi, Enugu, Kaduna, Kano, Nasarawa, Ogun, and Plateau. Many Nigerians have been killed and maimed since 1999 in sectarian and communal attacks and reprisals between Muslims and Christians. Which part of us is directly related to Jesus or Muhammad? Only God and Allah will let us know. Poverty, unemployment, inequality, and bad governance have been blamed for the continued skirmishes between the Muslims and Christians in Nigeria. The poverty and insecurity nexus. The notion that poverty breeds insecurity has been a contentious issue within the academic arena. Some scholars believe there is a direct link between poverty and insecurity, whereas others
has lost contact with the camera.
That insecurity is caused by other factors. Empirical evidence suggests that chronic poverty and inequality breed conflict, ill feelings, and insecurity. The protagonists who argued that poverty has no correlation with conflict, however, felt such factors such as ethnicity, political instability, and resource control are important.
I'm listening to Dr. Abu Tafawa, but my camera has lost
There
contact.
is causality from poverty to insecurity. The deprivation theory of Ted Gould
my son who did this for me
this hypothesis.
It's gone out.
The theory explains the reason why people dabble into violence. There's the psychological aspect of the theory,
But tell
is
your
that
operator there.
aggression is always a consequence of frustration. And at the same time, frustration always leads to some form of aggression. So it's a two-edged sword. The poor are led to violence owing to their relative deprivation and needs. This scenario agrees significantly with the current security situation in Nigeria. The act of frustration, denial, and lack of want have actuated several of the youths in Nigeria to take up arms against the state. More than 80% of conflict-related deaths occurred in less economic advantaged states. Conflict, violence, and insurgency are caused by poverty and other factors that have been inimical to the development of any society. Studies have shown that most of the security challenges facing Nigeria in the current democratic dispensation have their root causes in the high level of poverty and inequality in the country. Nigeria ranks third amongst countries in the world having extremely poor people. However, it's not all lost. There are possible solutions. One of them is to be able to increase our literacy rate and skills development. Nigeria has 1 out of every 5 out-of-school children in the world, according to UNICEF.
Thank
With
you.
the situation in northern Nigeria appearing
I will go out about 12:30 or 1.
2. Economic diversification. Economic fragility due to an over-reliance of oil revenue is another important reason for the rising poverty levels in Nigeria. As such, diversifying economic activities is critical to give possibilities for Nigerians while maintaining economic stability. 3. We should be able to expand our economic opportunities and embrace technology. To eradicate poverty in Nigeria, the country's economic production and prospects for its population must be improved. This will entail boosting financial access and possibilities for women and young people, especially in rural communities, as well as advancing technology innovation. 4, we need to invest better in healthcare. I'm not talking strictly because I'm a medical doctor, but we all know health is wealth. As Nigeria continues to struggle with several crippling health indicators, people are being forced into abject poverty every year as a result of needing to spend money on health conditions. To alleviate poverty, we must take advantage of demographic dividends by investing in health and well-being, particularly for our youth. 5, invest more in girls' education and women empowerment. Out of the over 10 million children out of school in Nigeria, around half of them are girls. Educating girls and women empowerment has been shown to have both economic and intergenerational benefits. If half of the 10 million are girls, that is 5 million that we're just wasting, that can bring a lot more to the coffers in Nigeria and the taxpayers. Gender equality boosts household earnings and improves children's opportunities and well-being, which is a sensible strategy to eliminate poverty for future generations as well as our own. 6, fight against corruption. With corruption deeply rooted in Nigeria's system and the absence of penalties for corrupt public officials, the resultant effect has been the diversion of funds intended for development projects, leading to inadequate development and social welfare, as well as poverty. 7, income redistribution. And this is a must for us to do. This essentially means that high-income earners, especially the political elite, will see their pay and allowances dip,
that location,
while low and middle-income workers will see their pay and allowances boosted.
it will be
This will
difficult
also mean that only people who can afford to serve and who want to serve will be in our political platforms. This will increase overall productivity by increasing demand, which will lead to more jobs and a decrease in poverty. 8.
So we're going
invest in infrastructure. Infrastructure investment is one strategy to help the country establish a more integrated
the way you have done
economy, which can help to alleviate poverty, providing reliable power, a rail network.
You know what I mean by U-shape? So you just amend it that way. But I'll get the new plan. Yes.
Sorry.
But length times what? What is the length?
Good roads, pipe-borne water, and intervention in mass housing projects would stimulate economic activity and empower more Nigerians. My people, my sincerest apologies for the radio frequency mix-up. I thank you very much, and I hope that this
that's not what I meant before. The hostel
presents a substrate for us all to think on our situation a little bit better. Thank you.
That was what we were thinking, but don't worry, we'll meet you on Monday. But what? No, it's too early now. By Monday we'll talk, so that the timing. But you go to work now, you tell me to do that around there. Okay.
Hello? Are you
Honorable.
Yes,
Honorable.
Yes, continue.
Okay.
I am done.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. We have listened attentively to Dr. Abdul Tafawa Balewa. In-depthly your dimension of engagement of these all-important topics. The correlation between the subject matter of poverty and insecurity. It is obvious from your presentations that there is and insecurity in the sense that wherever there is a gross economic disadvantages to society, such society, a nation, to security challenges. We have witnessed this not only in the continent of Africa, but also some part of the world. It was actually, as now a late former president of Libya, Muammar Gaddafi, he said wherever a government official amassed undeserved resources to themselves to the tune of $1 billion who have been thrown into poverty. So therefore, the issue of addressing the question of education, the question of corruption, the question of unemployment, and lack of children orientation cumulatively can be a better way of addressing insecurity. Thank you very much, Dr. Abdul Tafawa Balewa. Now we will be proceeding to have a perspective speaker, Engineer Dr. John Shuku a former permanent secretary at the Ministry of Federal Capital Territory. Sir, you are welcome to this international conference, and we are attentively waiting to hear from you, sir.
Okay, thank you. I hope, just a second. I hope I'll be able to get in there. Okay, right. Yeah, I have a PowerPoint presentation, which I'm going to share. Thank you for inviting me. This is on short notice, but I hope we'll be able to try. The last speaker, Dr. Abubakar Tafawa Balewa, Alex has almost captured most of the things that are common to the issues of poverty and insecurity in the country. I hope you are you with me?
Very well.
Hello.
Very well.
Okay, good. Yeah.
We are with you. Right. Very well.
Okay, so let me see what I can get these slides done. Oh my God. Where are you? Okay. Oh my God. Slide 1. Okay. Oh no. I'm having problem with these slides. They're here, but okay, I'll read through what I have. And
better.
Oh, my son who helped me with this is not here. Okay. Sorry, most of us are analog and they're trying to get digital. The topic, the root causes of, not the roots, causes of poverty and insecurity in Nigeria. Let me start by an introduction by quoting the Ghanaian diplomat, the 7th United Nations Secretary General and co-recipient of the 2001 Nobel Peace Prize, Kofi Annan. He says, young people should be at the forefront of global change and innovation. Empowered, they can be key agents for development and peace. If, however, they are left on society's margins, all of us will be impoverished. Let us ensure that all young people have every opportunity to participate fully in the lives of their society. Are you getting me?
Very well.
Hello? Okay,
very
good.
well.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, we are.
The Advanced Leadership Dictionary defines poverty as the state of being poor. Some have even described poverty as a state of the mind. In any definition, however, the common factor still revolves around a sense of lack. Poverty is evidenced by the inability to provide for one's basic needs, that is, food, clothing, shelter, and basic needs, as we see in this country. The basic needs, education, healthcare, well-being. Poverty is one of the aftermath effects of insecurity because people won't be free to maximize their skills for more financial gains. Insecurity has aggravated poverty rates in Nigeria because people are not comfortable working on their farms, companies, banks, due to the increasing number of kidnap and killing cases. The need for security was the basics of the social contract between the citizens and the state. With that being said, security should be a fundamental right and entitlement for every citizen, in which people willingly surrender their rights to the government, who oversee the survival of all. Abraham Maslow was a social psychologist who was interested in the broad spectrum of human psychological needs. He is best known as for his hierarchy of needs theory. The needs in Maslow's hierarchy include psychological needs, food and clothing, safety needs, job security, social needs, friendship, self-esteem, and self-actualization. For the purpose of this work, emphasis will be laid on psychological needs and security because they are the germane to the topic of discussion, the root causes of poverty and insecurity. According to Abraham Maslow, psychological need, basic human needs that are required for survival: food, shelter, water, sleep, etc. If these requirements are not met, the body cannot continue to function. Faced with the lack of food, love, and safety, most people will probably consider food to be their most urgent need. Once the physical needs are satisfied, security, sometimes referred to as an individual safety, takes precedence. Safety and security and safety needs include personal security, financial security, health, and well-being. These first two levels are important to the physical survival of the person. Once individuals have basic nutrition, shelter, safety, they seek to fulfill higher levels of needs. Flowing from Maslow's theory of need, I will be safe to posit that where there are no means to access to basic needs, job, shelter, food, it will result to poverty in a society, which in the long run will have adverse effects or result in security, because idle mind is a threat to security. Thomas Hobbes, an English philosopher, states, "The life of a man in the state of nature is solitary, harsh, wicked, and brutish. This is why social contract was important. So it follows that the mechanism put in place to tame and control administrative tendencies of man against man must be employed in the full potential to serve its contractual purpose, hence security for members of the society." Nigeria, the most populous country in Africa, has a majority of its citizens wallowing in abject poverty over the years. I think yesterday, the Nigerian Statistical Board stated that over 112 people, Nigerians, out of the 186 million estimated population, were said to live in poverty. And most recently, in 2022, according to the World Resource Institute, 71% of Nigerians live on less than $1 per day. That is less than 600 naira, maybe some days back. Less than 800 naira today. The truth is, it will keep increasing if people are not aware of these causes and the possible solution to escape from it. The root causes of poverty are, Dr. Jalil had captured most of them: increasing rate of population. In the last 35 years, the population has increased at a whopping rate of 2.2 per annum. An average population, approximately 17 million people, are added every year to the population, which raises demand for consumption goods considerably. Nigeria is currently the sixth most populated country in the world, with close to 220 million citizens. The numbers keep growing rapidly, thereby increasing the country's poverty level. Poor employment opportunities. According to the African Development Bank, 45% of Nigerian youths are unemployed, while many parents depend on their jobless children for food and other basic amenities of life. This explains why poverty level in Nigeria keeps growing exponentially annually. Poor education system. Unfortunately, the Nigerian system isn't designed in such a way that to reduce poverty in the country. Unlike in the past, most schools don't teach students skills that will help them make money during their upward period. Instead, they are more concerned about school fees and other inexplicable charges. Political instability. Political instability in this country keeps the nation in persistent state of change. The economic policies of one government is hardly put in place before it is overthrown. Well, that was the past. A democratic government leaves ample room for growth. Monetary government, which is stricter and short-lived of ideas. But I'm sorry to say that our current political dispensation, democracy, seems to be on the reverse anyway. Because from 1999 to today, we are going down the steep. Poor government policies. Government policies play a significant role in increasing the poverty rate in Nigeria. The government sometimes makes irrational decisions that make one imagine how they manage to get into power. They rarely focus on a long-term project that will facilitate country's economic growth in the future. Unequal distribution of income. If you simply increase the production or do a checking on population, cannot help poverty in a country. We need to understand that inequality in the distribution of income and concentration of wealth should be checked. The government can reduce inequality of income and check the concentration of wealth by pursuing suitable monetary and price policies. The distribution channel should be robust in order to remove poverty. Mass consumption of goods, food, grains, etc. should be distributed first among the poor population. Present public distribution system must be reorganized and extended to the rural and semi-urban areas of the country. I hope I'm not too fast. Hello? Are we together?
We are very well together with you.
Okay.
We are very well together with you.
Thank you. Though laziness has reduced drastically, it still remains one of the causes of poverty in the country. Some Nigerians aren't ready to put their best to be rich, yet they want the Lord to set a table of milk and honey before them. Unfortunately, people in this category give birth to countless children without any sustainable sources of income to train them. We keep praying. They will have more churches, we have more mosques in this country than any other part of the world. But there's no free lunch anyway. Poor investment knowledge. A large percentage of Nigerian population is doomed by fraudsters after investing in businesses they know nothing about. This also contributes to increasing level of poverty in the country. Increasing price rise. The poor are becoming poorer because of continuous and steep price increases. It has benefited a few people in the society, and the persons in the lower income group find it difficult to get their minimum needs. Okay. Poor saving culture. Many Nigerians lack the discipline to put aside a percentage of their income as savings, spend less than they earn. Instead, they prefer to spend as soon as they get paid. Some even owe debts beyond their expected income. The urge to keep up with the Joneses makes them indulge in compulsive buying of expensive items so as to impress their peers. Violence. Riots, states of emergencies, wars, embargoes, kidnapping, name it, heistmen all over the country. Boko Haram, the Dr. Jalil said Boko Haram is limited to the north. No, today there's insecurity all over the country, all over the world, all over Nigeria, both north, south, Niger Delta, the southeast. I can't even go home today. Bring all efforts to naught, limit the flow of trade and consequently low finance of the society. Now, recommendations to curbing poverty in Nigeria, and of course that includes insecurity. Government should find a way to make birth control a must for every family in the country. Of course, this may be very controversial, but these are the basic things we have to do. Nigerians in the rural areas should be educated on the adverse effect of uncontrolled sex and reckless childbearing. It should be mandated that no family should exceed a certain number. This will regulate the country's population and poverty rate. The government should take care of the minimum requirements like drinking water, primary medical care, primary education of the poor. The public sector should make generous expenditure on the poor to provide at least the minutest requirements. Government should create many job employment opportunities for Nigerians by establishing industries, putting level playing grounds, not for government to establish industries, for investors to take advantage of those enabling environment. When you establish more industries, schools, and other facilities, this will improve the standard of living of the country. You should embark on projects that promise more job opportunities. In the 80s, the World Bank sponsored labor-intensive methods of construction, so that where, for instance, you have roads, you have people in that neighborhood engaged to provide those infrastructure. That is different from the way these days all the projects you give it to foreign companies, you pay them, they take the money outside this country. Well, our bricklayers, our laborers are not engaged. The Chinese are all over the place in this country, providing basic infrastructure that the Nigerian people are trained to do. They should embark on many projects that promise more job opportunities for both learned and unlearned citizens. Likewise, the citizens should learn one or two entrepreneurial skills that will keep them busy while patiently waiting to get their job to the dream. All Nigerian high schools and tertiary institutions should have workshops where students will be actively involved in skill acquisition programs and practical works. This will help them to develop a skill that they can explore when it is difficult to get a job immediately after graduation. That is what happens in America and in the UK. Do I still have some time? Insecurity has been a problem in Nigeria for almost 2 decades now. This presented itself in the form of insurgencies such as Boko Haram, Niger Delta militants, Fulani herdsmen attack, etc., which has caused a lot of challenges for economic development in Nigeria. Insecurity has led to reduction in food production, thus contributing to inflation, poverty level in the country. It has also led to poor industrial growth, among other problems, which have retarded economic growth. I can tell you an example. When I was working, I had a view to set up a ranch in Gwagwalada. I had about 110 cows, 220 sheep, 220 goats, all from Sokoto, hybrid goats. Just one day, all these disappeared. Cattle rustling. Of recent, our beloved motherland, Nigeria, has been bewildered with a series of major security challenges that one used to be a heaven for most people, citizens, and foreigners as well, has of recent time become a hotspot that the United States and a few other countries had to issue red flag warnings to its citizens on traveling to some parts of the country, ranging from kidnapping, armed banditry, killings, abductions, and cause terrorist attacks. These and many other constitute major forms of insecurity we're facing today as Nigerians. The federal government has equally, would I say, tried their best to cope measures by deploying quite several security personnel to these hotspots. But these evil perpetrators have since decided not to let peace reign. Looking back about 8 years ago, the major security challenges we used to have was Boko Haram terrorists, which involved the northeast part of Nigeria via the Lake Chad, which had been rumored to have been aligned with the famous Islamic State, ISIS, supplying them with logistics, arms and ammunition, manpower training, and mode of operations. With the notable attack on the abduction of 200 innocent schoolgirls in Chibok, most recently the kidnapping and killing of camp president of Adamawa State, this notorious state, which was known to be majorly inhabit the northeastern parts of Sambisa Forest, especially Meduguri and Adamawa, has gone ahead to terrorize other parts of the northwestern states, Nigeria mainly, Katsina, Zamfara, Kano, using the major forest linking Zamfara through Katsina and Kaduna as the Rugu forest as the hideout. They portray themselves as Fulani herdsmen, whereas it's only a disguise to perpetuate these evil goals, such as kidnapping, cattle rustling, gang raping, and all sorts of evil vices. Lately, the major security concern has been travelers along the Kaduna-Abuja Expressway. There has been a lot of abductions on that road, and that road has become said to be highly risky for travelers. It's not limited to that road. Abuja, Benin, Lokoja Road, is a hotspot. Now, hence resolution to prefer the railway mode of transportation or airways for those who can afford. But these armed bandits kidnap innocent travelers and kill some members of the families if they fail to pay ransom. They molest female and male prisoners while they are in captivity and have been very alarming threat to security network of this country. Well, we all saw what happened at railway kidnapping. The government or all of us were able to do something. Meanwhile, some of those ministers and top officials had the temerity to pay 100 million to be president, and nobody queried them. Nobody queried them. ASU was on strike for how many years, and people who are ministers are being given national honors. So what are we talking about? Unemployment.
All right, sir. Let us see how we draw down. We have only 1 minute to go. 1 minute more, sir.
I'm almost done. Unemployment and poverty.
Please,
As a result of the high level of unemployment, poverty among Nigerians, especially the youth, they are adversely attracted to violent crimes. Failure of successive administrations in Nigeria to address challenges of poverty, unemployment, and inequitable distribution of wealth among 18 nationalities is a major cause of insecurity in the country. Again, the youth involved in this act threatening the peace are unemployed youth that would do anything to eat. Some of these unemployed youths are actually graduates with potential to do well on jobs that they are not employed for several reasons. Of course, they cannot buy positions today. If government will engage them in productive ventures, then insecurity will reduce. Illiteracy among youths, okay? Weak security systems, corruption.
Thank you, sir.
Stands at the chief cause. Sorry, I'm coming, please. Every government in the past 60 years is talking about corruption, yet corruption is increasing. So where are we getting it wrong? Okay, I will give you my.
We would like to have the documents. Yes.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Now.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Let me conclude, please. Let me conclude.
Okay.
Conclusion. Poverty is a complex problem, occurs everywhere, and can be triggered by various things. To overcome this, it takes the role of cooperation from various parties, ranging from individuals, communities, and governments to world-class organizations. Poverty or its cause, this case of lack, is not limited to the level of individuals, but also reaches the national level. It is caused by a variety of factors which include, but are not limited to, poor saving culture, poor knowledge of investment strategies, unemployment, corruption, violence, laziness, underutilization of resources, inequality, absence of economic diversification, education system. Insecurity is a major threat to every nation, and it is our responsibility to ensure security is eradicated. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Engineer Dr. John O. Shuku, for that explicit presentation. Yet, this program is organized by the organization Children Orientation Planning for Community Peace Building Initiative, a non-governmental organization assisting the government to define a pathway to engendering peace, political stability, prosperity, and eradication of poverty, and working towards the achievement of United Nations Missions 2030. I think we have one intervention more, and it is going to be very brief. We are calling on Dr. Tanko if we can have him. He said he cannot appear on video, but he will do the presentation on through audio. Can we have Dr. Tanko Yunusa, please? Can we have Dr. Tanko Yunusa briefly? Dr. Tanko Salisu Unisa. Can we have you?
Yes.
Dr. Yunusa Salisu Tanko is a former chairman of Inter-Party Advisory Council, a former chairman of National Conscience Party of Nigeria. Dr. Tanko Yunusa, can we have you on your audio? Yes, if we cannot have Dr. Tanko Yunusa, I guess I will have to be drawing a conclusion on the discourse so far. From the presentation of both Dr. Tafawa Balewa Abdul-Jalil and Engineer Dr. John Oshuku, we have been able to explicitly gain a lot of knowledge from their presentation regarding the causation of poverty, and insecurity. We have also learned from them that the role, proper education and indoctrinations of citizens, particularly catching them young at the age of our youth, defining a pathway for them to escape from frustration that poverty can impose on people. We have an old adage that a hungry man is an angry man. It is a cumulative adage that underscores the frustration that can result from lack of the ability to meet basic needs and necessities of life as itemised by Engineer Dr. Shuku, such as shelter, job security,
Non, c'est pas fini, mais je ne sais pas si les possibilités pour une interruption. Une interruption de transmission. Je ne sais pas.
ensure equal distributions of income and wealth, create environment for industrialization through diversifications of economy and encouragement of investors, both local and international investors, will be a good way for government to ensure that the question of poverty that is capable of leading to aggravated security, as we are already witnessing in many countries, not only in Africa, we are just making Nigeria a case study in this manner. and productive capacity, we will be able to tame the monster of poverty leading to insecurity. It is on this note that I want to thank all the participants, our international followers, our guest speakers. You people have been very wonderful. You made this day possible for us. And we want to specifically appreciate the organization, the organizer of this program, COFD. That is Children Orientation Planning for Community Peace Building Initiative. We will keep on monitoring the system, creating avenue for interactions like this so that we can help both our government and government across the world by our presentations and engagements to define a pathway that can help us to address the question of poverty. Actually, we will always have enough and more than enough for our needs, but we can never have enough for our greed. Thus, we should work on taming the question of corruption adequately. Addressing the question of corruption will help us to reduce the incidence of poverty, because wherever you take 1 billion, and these days people take 10 billions without pricking their conscience, hundreds of billions from the public's money without pricking their conscience. Wherever such things are happening, you are creating poverty. So please do not be a part of poverty creation. Be a part of wealth creation so that we can tame the incidences of unwanted security challenges. Thank you, Dr. Tafawa Balewa Abdul Jalil. It is our great pleasure to have such a statement in our midst today. Thank you very much. And thank you very much
for inviting me.
Our pleasure. Thank you. And thank you very much, Engineer Dr. John Oshuku. We greatly appreciate you, sir. And we will want to also have your paper because we know you have so much to deliver to us. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. What I will do, Nasiru, I will send the paper to him, and then he will deliver it to you. Nasiru, I must thank you for ambushing me. I would say you kidnapped me for this program. This is a good. So
thank you.
Thank you, Dr.
We couldn't have Dr. Tanko. Yes, we couldn't have Dr. Tanko, but we will reach out to him to also send us what he has as a presentation, and we will share it online. Thank you very much. And so, on this note, we bring this program to a conclusion.
Thank you.
Pleasure.
Well done.
Thank you. Thank you.
So I need to send Thank you.